Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So for today, I will be ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes that I tried in the month of January. Wow, I cannot believe we're near the end of January. Let's see, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 palettes to rank for you all that have found their way into my collection. So if you like eyeshadow palettes, if you just want to hang out, talk about makeup, then please stick around for today's video. Okay, so coming in at number 7. I don't know why, guys. I never want to reach for this palette. Okay, so Melt Cosmetics, they did like a huge sale on their website. Everything was 40% off. It was like free shipping, you know, all the things. And I've always wanted to try that brand because I was so scared to buy it at full price because I feel like the reviews are so polarizing. So I was just always too nervous to spend all the money on their palettes because they're not cheap anyway. So I saw this sale and I saw the opportunity and I took advantage of the sale. And girl, I went in last month in December, well, last year, I ranked my Mary Jane. I've still been using this all January long. I just wanted to say, still loving this palette. So I love that so much. I placed a few more orders and we're about to get into it. So number 7, this is the Bad Side Zodiac Earth palette. I don't know why, guys. I'm just not reaching for it. But this is what the inside looks like. It's very cute. It's definitely my tones. I feel like there's a palette in here that's kind of dupes this, and I just love that one, and I keep using it and using it. So that's why this one is coming in at like number 7 at the very bottom. Not because of the quality, just because I'm not reaching for it, and that should say something. So I definitely wanted to say that. Let's see. Number 6, this one is from Colourpop. This is the Sage the Day palette. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with this palette. I just have the Child palette that I prefer so much more. It's just better quality. This is like the good Colourpop formula. It's not the great. So I just feel like this, I could have skipped it, but I really wanted it. I love greens. I love neutrals. And I thought that the main reason why I bought this palette was because of the shade in Nature Bay. This is like a very pretty, it's like a blue-brown duochrome shade. And honestly, it was just kind of like meh for me. It was fine. It's just not, I'll just show you why I'm not in love with it. So I'm about to swatch it for you. Like for Colourpop, it's beautiful. Like there's nothing wrong with it. But y'all know how I love indie brands. See, like that's very pretty. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But let me show you why I haven't been reaching for that palette. So I picked up, I didn't rank them because they're single shadows, but I picked up a whole bunch of shadows from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. And this one in particular, the shade Gifts Galore. Let me see, right here. I'm going to swatch it next to the Colourpop shade, and you're going to see why I'm just like not loving on the Colourpop palette, because this is just like the quality of this shade. Like I cannot, like I could swatch this all down my arm. It is absolutely incredible. So whenever I want a blue, brown, purpley shade, look at that, guys. I go to the Give Me Glow every time because it is so good. It's an incredible shade and it looks good with almost every look. Like you could just sheer this out and make it look neutral or smoky. Just, it is stunning. So as you can see, we have Colourpop here, Give Me Glow there, and I could have just kept going because it is that rich and pigmented. So no shade towards the Colourpop palette. It's just I prefer the Child palette, and I'll probably be decluttering that one. It might end up going to my daughter just because I don't reach for it. And every time I want a green, brown, neutrally palette, you know, I go to the Child palette over that. So coming in at number 5, this one is from Melt. This is the Gemini 2 palette. Their packaging is on another level. It is so pretty. Like the roses, I just cannot. And the color story, it is so beautiful. It's like grungy, like romantic grunge. And I love it with my whole heart. I do not reach for red shadows that much, but I have been more in the pink mode, red mode, because it's getting near Valentine's Day. And this is one I reach for almost every single time. I freaking love it. Melt has got the most pigmented matte shades. Some of the deeper shades don't blend the easiest, but like they're not too bad. Like I don't understand why all the reviews are so either love or hate. It's a fine formula. The mattes are so rich and pigmented. The shimmers are just like meh. That's why I picked up mainly matte palettes with just few pops of shimmers. But yeah, I love this palette. I love the embossments and I love every single look I ever get with this palette. I love mixing and matching all my Melt palettes as well. So definitely a good one from Melt. Coming in at number 4, this is from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. This is the Juicy Olive palette. This is not new. It's just new to me. Literally, all but one of these palettes are that same way. They had a huge sale on their website. I think it was 30% off, and I had to pick up this palette. I love greens. I love olive tones, and this palette's just absolutely beautiful. The reason why it's coming in a little lower, not because of the quality, it's just because it's so monochromatic, but these are magnetic pans. So my intention is to pop out some of these and add mix and match, so I will reach for it more. But for the sake of me reviewing this palette, I just wanted to play with it on its own most of the time to get a good idea of the formula. It's amazing. Give Me Glow has some just the most pigmented rich mattes, kind of like Melt. They're so intense and beautiful. The shimmer shades, I will say if you don't like texture, flaky shades that are messy, maybe steer clear. But if you love texture, try Give Me Glow. They're really, really good. Coming in at number 3, this is the Gemini palette. This is the first one, and this is the one with like the updated packaging. Guys, I cannot with this packaging. It is so beautiful. So I'm a sucker for roses, and honestly, these two palettes look so pretty together. Oh my gosh, it's like grungy garden fantasy vibes. So this is what the inside of the palette looks like, and I have been using this so much. It's hard for me to just go into other palettes because I love these green tones so much, and some of these neutrals down here. Like I said earlier, the shimmers, they are nothing to get excited over. 9 times out of 10, when I reach for my Melt palettes, I go in with the Indie Single Shadow from like Electrum Cosmetics. I've been going in with my Terra Moon shadows, my Give Me Glow. Those are the ones that I really reach for whenever I just want to play with the Melt. And like, I love their mattes, and then I'll use the shimmers, but then I always go in with a prettier sparkly shade on top. But I love it. I have used every shade in all these palettes, and I love them. Except for the one I showed you. I'm not reaching for it, and I'll tell you why in just a second. So this one is number 2. This is the Nomad Verona Life and Death palette. I received this in PR, all the other ones I bought. But this is the first time I ever got anything from Nomad sent to me. And let me just show you the inside. It is like a poetic dream, I'm telling you. So typically I don't reach for reds all the time, but like I said, I'm just kind of feeling the reds right now. And I've also been mixing these in as a blush. They're very pigmented, but I just go in very softly to get a pretty flush and to also get use out of these shades. But I typically will always go into both sides, mix and match, and it just turns out to be such a beautiful look. I have created so many different looks with this, and I do have a review on my channel if you're curious on my thoughts. I also have a 3 looks 1 palette up as well, but guys, this is such a good palette. Good formula. I love the concept of the love and death, like the duality, the mixing. They did such an amazing job. The only critique on this palette, I feel like the reds may be a little too similar to some people, but I still love the color story. I love what they did with it because they had to do red. Do you know what I'm saying? So I really do love that. And also the shimmers are just firmly pressed, like a little bit too hard for my liking, but you still get a really beautiful look. You just have to kind of dig in there more. If you go in with a brush, you may experience difficulty, but I just use my fingers and it works out beautifully every time. And the shade Tragedy right here, I love it so much. It's a beautiful multi-chrome, and it flips like purple, green, gold, so I can just swatch it for you and show you how beautiful this shade is. So you see the purple, and then it goes to gold and green. It is such a pretty shade, blended out all on its own, or you can mix and match. In the shade right here, you can get a very subtle look if you just stick to the top row. Regardless, I have been loving this palette, and thank you so much to Nomad for sending this to me. They are seriously one of my favorite brands. Before I ever got this, before I ever got on the PR list, I have so many other palettes. It's just a really good brand that I genuinely love. And number 1, this is from Melt Cosmetics. This is the 420 palette. I love Melt for the vibe they give off, because their color story is not because like all this smoking vibes, like that's not for me. Like, it is, if it's for you, cool, I don't care. But it's just like the aesthetic of these color stories speak to me. That is something so unique about Melt, are the undertones in all their palettes. They're not dupe. I mean, you can dupe them, but like it would take you some time. But like, the reason why I have not been reaching for this palette, let me show you the Earth palette. It's because I feel like I bought a dupe right here. These tones are so beautiful, and I love mixing and matching this with all the palettes I've been using this month, especially the Gemini palette, my Fantasy Cosmetica palette, the Olive palette from Give Me Glow. 9 times out of 10, yeah, there's only one shimmer in here. I pop into, like I said, an indie brand multi-chrome for some extra glitz and glam, but I love this palette. I love the formula. I know not everyone does, but it works beautifully for me. So anyways, that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what palettes you have been loving this month. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you are doing well. I hope that you are healthy, happy, and safe. Stay beautiful. Bye, guys.